Tonight on Q2, the opposite of mending fences.
Something as silly as a TikTok challenge risked my dog's lives.
A social media trend may have led to damaged property in Billings.
That's what you're doing, and you're copping out.
Plus, funding frustrations.
I just want what's fair for our Park City residents.
Park City parents demand answers, arguing more money should be headed to the district from one of the county's largest employers. And damaged and destroyed.
It was a horrific time of my life. It couldn't have been a worse time.
A week after this Sheridan home was totaled in a police standoff, we hear from one woman as she relives a similar nightmare. The MTN 10 o'clock news starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday night. I'm Russ Riesinger. A Billings family is raising the alarm after having their fence destroyed by a group of kids. It's an incident that nearly resulted in the loss of their dogs. The family claims it all happened because of a popular TikTok trend from a few years ago called the KoolAid Man challenge. Our David J. looks into the case and whether the social media trend has now hit the Magic City.
On Saturday, somebody ran through the fence here on the Emmanuel Baptist Church property, took out this panel, a few there, and one over there. That one over there, the dogs got out. The family was out of town, but fortunately the neighbors and some people at the church got together and ended up keeping the dogs safe. Agnew and Cedar enjoy some time at home after leaving their yard when some vandals damaged a panel in the fence.
We were in Utah for a family funeral and got a call from the people watching our house that 2 of our dogs were missing.
Beth Griffith and her husband were out of town when 2 of their 3 dogs went wandering through the neighborhood.
It's such a helpless feeling being 9-10 hours away from home.
The dogs tried to come into the church Sunday morning, about 7:45. We had 2 of them over there trying to get in, and they were good. I mean, they were very happy, excited dogs, so I got a hold of them and got them back over through the fence for the owners.
But they left again, and neighbors kept them safe and called the Yellowstone Valley Animal Shelter, where the Griffiths picked up their dogs on Monday. And Beth Griffith believes this may be what is called the KoolAid Man challenge, which involves kids trying to imitate the character from a Kool-Aid ad by crashing through a fence.
We found out really quickly from my niece that this is a challenge. This is a TikTok thing, a craze going through, that kids are just running through fences and having a good old time with it. But I don't think they realize the next step in that is that you put 2 lives in danger.
Griffith reported the damage to the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office, and according to the Billings Police Department, this challenge of knocking down fence panels has existed for several years. It is also something that young people nationwide have done. Emmanuel Baptist surveillance video shows that the vandals knocked down the panels around 9 o'clock Saturday night and then came back around 11:45.
It is home to me, and, I know every inch of the property.
Yeah, I feel very violated. My kids play 5 feet from here, and now I'm worried about my dogs being alone. I'm worried about leaving home for any amount of time.
Beth wants others to know about the KoolAid Man challenge, and she says she's planning on organizing a neighborhood watch. In Billings, David J., MTN News.
The Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office is investigating tonight after the body of a man was found near the public auction yard. Yellowstone County Sheriff Mike Linder says the discovery was made around 2 this afternoon in a ditch off of the 1300 block of Minnesota Avenue. Linder says while there's no indication into the cause of death, it appears he may have been there for several days. They believe the man is possibly in his 60s, and they ask anyone with information possibly related to the incident to call the Yellowstone County Sheriff's Office. Linder says an autopsy is scheduled for the near future. And a 15-year-old boy is now in custody and facing deliberate homicide charges in a fatal shooting that happened last fall on Billings South Side. On November 3rd, police responding to a report of shots being fired found 17-year-old Vidal Yellowrobe in an alley near South Park. He later died. It was one of several fatal shootings that week. Police said at the time it was the result of an altercation between juveniles that erupted. Neighbors reported seeing several young men running from the scene. The teen has been remanded to the custody of Youth Services. The need for more jail space is something both city and county leaders agree on, but where will the money come from to pay for it? At tonight's workshop, Billings City Council discussed how to respond to the county's request for the city to pitch in $3 million for construction of a short-term detention facility. Law enforcement say it's necessary because they often arrest criminals only to have them continue to walk free. The county wants to build a two-story addition to the existing detention facility that would provide 96 beds at a total projected cost of $6 million. City Council decided to respond with an offer of $2 million for the facility paid over the next 3 years. That'll be put on Monday's agenda, and if passed, it will then be presented to the county. A once perfectly good home stands condemned in Sheridan, Wyoming, after that 30-hour standoff following the murder of a Sheridan police officer. As that community comes together to help the homeowner rebuild, a western Montana woman reveals she was in a similar situation after police destroyed her former home near Houston, Texas, also during a deadly standoff. Well, tonight our Andrea Lutz learns how her case could lead the way for legal precedent.
It's been a tough 3 years for Vicki Baker.
Here I was, just moving, to a new state.
In July of 2020, she settled into her western Montana home, moving all the way from Texas. But that's when the nightmare began.
It was a horrific time of my life. It couldn't have been a worse time.
Vicki's troubles started with the unimaginable when a fugitive broke into her McKinney, Texas home with a hostage. It all ended with the man eventually taking his own life, but she says police broke out windows, blew down her garage door, and threw tear gas canisters in to drive him out.
Because it's called shock and awe, to confuse the perpetrator so that he doesn't know which direction they are coming from.
It's a familiar sight closer to us. Police in Sheridan using an excavator to flush out a fugitive who killed Officer Nevada Kreenke. And remember this? Back in March, police used demolition tactics and a fire hose to remove Mary Whitecrane from her Billings Heights home after a shooting injured a Billings police officer. Turns out Vicki's home insurance didn't cover the damage, so when she turned to the city, she was told they have immunity.
And they say, look, the police did everything right, so we're not on the hook.
Over $70,000 in out-of-pocket repairs later, she was eventually able to sell that Texas home. But it's left lasting trauma.
I know what it feels like to have your world destroyed.
We don't want murderers running around. But it's not fair to have a random unlucky individual like Vicki Baker left holding the bag.
Vicki's lawyer, Jeffrey Redfern, with the Institute for Justice, says they took a different approach, arguing instead eminent domain.
So we've argued that this is a taking, just like if the government used eminent domain to take your house to build a road or a school. Those are important things. They're good things. We like roads. We like schools. But we don't think that one random unlucky individual should have to bear that burden for all of society.
Vicki's case is currently in appeal, but it's something her lawyer believes will pique the interest of the U.S. Supreme Court. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
And tonight we're learning more about what it will take to rebuild the Sheridan home that was completely lost in last week's standoff. Contractors believe it will take between $300,000 to $360,000 to rebuild that 1,200 square foot house. They say it will take between 4 to 6 months to rebuild once construction begins, which could still be 2 to 3 months away. Once again, between the contractors and community's help, the hope is to rebuild the house at no cost to the owner.
Even though conditions are a little bit different, the temperature is very consistent across the state. A little traffic here in downtown Miles City with the Stockman Bank weather cam. 37, and the clouds have been moving in throughout the evening. Just a little bit of a breeze at 8 miles per hour. Let's move over towards there's the Capitol in Helena, 38 degrees. Clouds there, a little bit of a southwest breeze continuing to move in. This is the airport over towards Belgrade, the Bozeman area, where temperatures again, we're in the mid-30s, and we've got some clouds around. If you start to see a pattern starting to develop, here's a look out towards Great Falls with temperatures in the upper 30s despite a clear sky, but the winds are a little bit stronger. Forecast details are coming up in just a few minutes from now.
The top Democrat hoping to unseat Governor Greg Gianforte in next fall's general election has chosen his running mate. Ryan Busse announced Rafe Graybill as his running mate for lieutenant governor just moments before filing for the office. Busse, a former firearms executive, says he considered a number of candidates, but Graybill rose to the top because of his commitment to winning and record of holding Gianforte accountable to the Constitution. Graybill previously served as chief legal counsel to Governor Steve Bullock and ran for attorney general in 2020 before losing out to Republican Austin Knudsen. Since then, he's represented plaintiffs in a series of lawsuits challenging bills and says he won't back down when fighting for Montana.
I've been part of fighting back for Montana's constitutional rights in the courts, and Ryan and I are going to work our tails off to make sure that these egregious property tax increases that we're all paying don't happen again.
The Montana Republican Party released a statement calling Bussey a gun grabber and saying Montana voters rejected Graybill in 2020 and will reject him again in 2024. Planning for a new recreation center is underway in Livingston with a special election scheduled next month to help fund the operations. The Four Ranges Wellness Center would be located on the north side of Livingston at Katie Bunnell Park. That facility would have it all from a large swimming pool to basketball courts to a track and even a workout room. City officials say this would be the first Montana project to be built 100% by private dollars. However, taxpayers will be in charge of helping keep the lights on, and that would come out to about $13 a month for the average homeowner. For city officials, they say it's definitely a price worth paying.
We really had aging facilities in Park County. The Civic Center served us well, but it was built in the Great Depression, and the pool is actually leaking tens of thousands of gallons of water in just a period of a few days. And so you combine both those realities with the wind and the weather, and it was really clear that there needed to be a new indoor year-round recreation facility for Park County.
Memberships would be free to all city residents. Ballots will be mailed out at the end of February with the special election on March 19th. Still to come on the MTN 10 o'clock news here on Q2, Park City parents demanding more money for their schools, money they say they've earned. We'll take you inside the debate next. And later, a Billings High School student making the grade in more ways than just one. We'll meet him in just a bit.